Lafayette have always known their city as an All-America city, and now the nation knows. Tonight we'll show you the presentation that helped Lafayette win the All-America City Award. Here's your host, Mike Piggott.
Good evening from the All-America City. I'm Mike Piggott, and during the next 30 minutes, we'll show you what went into giving Lafayette that designation. The city has won many awards in the past, but the sense of community pride that this one generates, or seems to be generating, may be the strongest ever. It was just last week that a delegation from Lafayette bussed to Cleveland, Ohio to make their case. 30 finalists were in Cleveland showing off their communities, and during a Saturday night banquet, the 10 All-America cities were announced.
Our next winner showed exceptional fortitude with the rehabilitation of rental housing units to increase the supply of safe and decent shelter. It worked with the county and United Way in a collaborative effort to help families become self-sufficient. And it undertook a long and difficult project to eliminate dangerous railroad crossings in the city's downtown. I present Lafayette, Indiana.
I want to thank the National Civic League, the All-State Foundation, the City of Cleveland, and all the friendly volunteers that we have experienced during this last 3 days, and all the people out there that we have met throughout the country. A fine group of people. I'm sure that if other communities could be here and look and see what we have done collectively together, they would be very proud and bring a little tear to your eye, too. On behalf of the All-American citizens of Lafayette, Indiana, I accept this All-American City Award. Thank you.
Boy, he was smiling big then, and he's been smiling like this ever since I've seen him, since he came back. Mayor Jim, really congratulations to you.
Thank you very much, Mike.
That had to be a highlight of your life.
It was indeed, and just watching that tape, it kind of sends a chill up your back a little bit, just watching the excitement and really the expression of community pride that came from that announcement.
What does this award mean to you and to our community?
Well, I think for the community, it's really a sense of pride and accomplishment. If you look at the many the projects, and the three that we included in our application, railroad relocation, neighborhood housing services, and family self-sufficiency, is really an expression of the community, how we identify a problem, find out what it is, and come to a solution. You know, you think of many other things that go on in the community, and we listed three where the participation of the citizens was very good, and you think of several others probably could have been included in that presentation, but that was a great 3 days.
Well, I would suspect it was, and just from watching some of those reactions and watching some of that tape and seeing the reaction from all the people who went, it really seemed like you had a wonderful time, and it was a proud time for you. Everybody, we have a number of the people here who made that trip. You're all wearing the same uniform. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, this is the uniform of the day, and Katie McMillan came up with this, and believe me, we were noticed in Cleveland. With the hats and the yellow bandana, and these shirts were made especially for the occasion. The flashing buttons came from Norfolk and Southern Railroad, and I believe Purdue gave us these whistles, and about every occasion we had, we'd blow those. But we wore this uniform mostly whenever they have an event, and we were there. And I think the representatives of the city and those who presented this on the city's behalf wore them everywhere, and they all knew where Lafayette was.
I bet they did. Well, a major part of what you did there was a presentation that explained these three projects. We're going to show the people that and talk to the person who put it together when we come back. Stay with us. Less than 2 months ago, the city administration learned that Lafayette was a finalist for the All-American City Award. A veritable scramble was underway to develop the city's presentation to make at Cleveland during a meeting on June 23rd. Much has been said about that presentation, but really few of you have ever had a chance to see just how the city sold itself, featuring three very unique programs. Well, now you have the chance to see it. So here is radio announcer turned railroad conductor Don Pratt.
Next stop is Lafayette, Indiana, a down-home Hoosier city with an appetite for success, a healthy craving that results from an honest desire to see the city thrive. We're proud of our tradition of being a transportation center, from Wabash River steamboats to canal boats and automobiles, but the railroads were what brought long-term prosperity to Lafayette. As a town, we've always been on the move. But something happened. Our transportation heritage was getting in the way of our future.
Lafayette averaged 13 train-related accidents annually. Two major railroads trisected Lafayette, creating traffic hazards at 42 grade crossings and depressing property value. One of these lines ran down the middle of a city street. More than 30 trains a day delayed 13,000 vehicles, including emergency equipment. In the late 60s, a Chamber of Commerce feasibility study brought civic leaders together with elected officials to solve our railroad and highway conflicts. Public comment was invited at every stage through the years. More than 900 public meetings have been held for community input. The community was given many options, including doing nothing. The overwhelming response was to move Lafayette's railroads.
My name is Mary Stout. I'm one of the first ones to sell my property on Wabash Avenue to railroad relocation. I was happy to do so because I believe the railroad really needed to be relocated. I now live in the country where my daughter could have her horses, and I'm very happy with it.
A consensus was reached to eliminate all crossings within the central city by moving two railroad lines into a corridor that paralleled the Wabash River. Lafayette needed the cooperation of the railroads, the city of West Lafayette, Tippecanoe County, various state agencies, and the federal government.
Well, the community had a vision several years ago to relocate the railroads from downtown Lafayette. And of course, in order to get the support for a very complex project, it was important that the business and industry supported the project, but most importantly, in order to complete a project as complex as moving the depot and relocating the railroad, we've had tremendous support from the community through the years.
Public support translates into political support. We've been most fortunate to spend or obligate to date $126 million. That's about 85% federal funds, 11% City of Lafayette funds, and 4% from the state of Indiana. This really represents unparalleled bipartisan support at both the local, state, and federal level.
The project was divided into 5 major construction segments. The first, second, and third have been completed. Segment 4 is nearing completion and work is underway on the final phase. Lafayette has experienced the greatest change in the past 3 years, building new twin bridges across the Wabash, moving a historic depot to our new plaza, and eliminating trains on 5th Street with the relocation of the first railroad into the new corridor. 18 grade crossings are now gone, with 24 to be eliminated by 1998. Businesses are relocating to buildings previously considered unsuitable due to train traffic, and historic neighborhoods have once again become worthy of investment.
My family's been in business here since 1876. That's 120 years of railroads. 120 years of railroads, 2 years of construction. It's an even trade if you ask me. We're so excited about it, we're looking forward to investing in a historic lighting project to be completed after the main work is done.
The railroad relocation project has also facilitated the development of the Wabash River Heritage Trail through the city. The converted Main Street Bridge will encourage pedestrian traffic on the trail and between Purdue University, West Lafayette, and the Depot Plaza. Today, railroad relocation is on the home stretch. Grade crossing accidents have been reduced. Traffic moves more efficiently through central and downtown Lafayette. Festivals are planned for the new Depot Plaza. Lafayette's most exciting accomplishment? The realization that our community can join and work together to solve problems. Lafayette continues to roll into motion.
There are other renovation projects in Lafayette. Every neighborhood can point to a house as being the worst house on the block. Often they are rundown rental units. But a unique Lafayette program is making many of those dwellings the nicest homes on the block.
Lafayette had a shortage of affordable housing units for low-income families. 34,000 Purdue University students impact the availability of rental units. Civic groups identified affordable housing as one of Lafayette's critical needs. In 1992, the city established a task force. Their recommendation was that a nonprofit corporation develop and manage rental housing for low and moderate income families. Lafayette Neighborhood Housing Services, a nonprofit partnership of lenders, city government, businesses, and residents, answered the challenge. The addition of the rental program completed the organization's comprehensive approach to meeting housing needs. More than $10 million in public and private funds have been invested in Lafayette neighborhoods, and another $3 million has been invested in the rental program.
Shortly after we made the decision to acquire rental property, it came to our attention that one of the landlords in town had 17 buildings on scattered sites that he wanted to sell. And this fit our philosophy very well because we believe in the economic integration of neighborhoods, and it also gives our tenants a choice in neighborhoods in which they live.
Most of the buildings were in bad condition. Lafayette Neighborhood Housing Service hired local contractors to rehabilitate the buildings. The renovations complemented the neighborhood style. To ensure continued community involvement, Neighborhood Housing's 15-member board has 8 resident members. Along with architects, accountants, city development representatives, and lenders, the board determines the best ways to reinvest in Lafayette's neighborhoods.
3 years ago, when we moved to the Lincoln neighborhood, I saw lots of potential for both bad and good. I got involved with neighborhood housing because I saw it as a force of good in our neighborhood.
Many neighborhood housing residents are working toward eventual home ownership while living in decent, affordable rental units. President Clinton's recent housing proposal was in part inspired by Lafayette's home ownership program. The Lafayette program continues to renovate homes, keeping Lafayette rolling into motion.
I'd like to introduce one of those families benefiting from neighborhood housing, Mauricio and Lilia Carrillo and their 3 children. Mauricio, you had quite an experience with your first home in Greater Lafayette.
We were living in a trailer that was damaged by a tornado. We were very lucky to be alive. We worry about our children. We hear about neighborhood housing and apply for a home loan. They help us to buy our first home, and now we have a good roof over our heads.
Thank you, Mauricio, and best wishes for the future. Another unique Lafayette community program is helping people break out of the welfare cycle. The Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinating Committee is an example of shared decision-making among diverse segments of the population. The key to its success was assigning the program's administration to a non-governmental body.
In Lafayette, we recognize that participants as well as business and community groups needed to get involved in designing the self-sufficiency program and its funding.
The Family Self-Sufficiency Program is a collaborative effort between the Lafayette Housing Authority and Family Services Incorporated, a private not-for-profit social service agency. Funding is provided through grants from the city's Community Development Department, our local United Way, and financial supporters of Family Services.
As coordinator of the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, I meet with each client to develop a personalized plan. This includes career exploration, education and job training, home visits, monthly support meetings, mentoring, and social services.
Hi, I'm Tracy Kraft, and about a year ago I decided to quit my job and go back to school. I couldn't do it on my own. I heard about the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, so I contacted them. I've been on the program about a year now, and things are going really well for us.
2 years ago, I became pregnant in the middle of my college career. Then I found out about Family Self-Sufficiency. They were able to give me affordable housing, goals, and a plan to work toward, and I just graduated from Purdue last month.
Since 1986, 280 participants have been accepted into the self-sufficiency program. 66% have achieved long-term self-sufficiency and good jobs with skills that enable them to support their families and contribute to the community. 94 families are currently enrolled.
And this is Tracy Kraft. Tracy, how has family self-sufficiency helped you?
Without family self-sufficiency, I would not have been able to continue my goal of becoming a nurse. I have a lovely home, and I'm able to care for my 3 children while I'm attending school.
Thank you, Tracy. There's more to be done in Lafayette, but we're proud of what we've accomplished. Our United Way has one of the highest per capita support levels in the country, with 18 successful campaigns in as many years. New industries are locating in Lafayette for our quality of life, our educated workforce, and pro-business government. Dozens of colorful ethnic and cultural festivals call Lafayette home. Our volunteer spirit runs high throughout our diverse neighborhoods. Lafayette is an all-America city that is rolling into motion.
There is a place with happiness all around that I am proud to say is my hometown. Lafayette, yes, it's Lafayette, another diamond in the crown. It's Lafayette, it's my hometown. Ooh.
person who produced that presentation is the Journal Courier's marketing director, Arvid Olson, who joins us now to talk about it briefly. Welcome, Arvid.
How you doing,
How do you
Mike?
feel?
Boy, I'll tell you, I'm excited, and when the mayor congratulated me afterwards, he said, "You really did it?" And I said, "No, the material did it. We had good material to work with. That's what really mattered."
What was it like? Set the scene for us on how that presentation was made in Cleveland.
What we had to do was, as we went into a ballroom, and it was very structured. You had exactly 10 minutes to present, and then exactly 10 minutes to answer questions. And so we had one rehearsal the day before, and we walked in and we sat and waited for the group in front of us to complete their presentation. We walked right up, and they said, "Are you ready?" And we all blew our whistles en masse, all 40 of us, and Don Pratt walked up to the front, and off we went. I have never seen a better presentation in all my life. It was fantastic.
You probably saw 30 different presentations then while you were there. Was this like the rest of them? Was it unique? Was it different? How did it compare?
You know, we were quite up front, very good. But it's funny. 3 presentations before us, I was sitting down in a little community in California called Lindsay, California, came in and used some of the same animation we used and also blew whistles. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
You copied it.
What am I going to do? You know? But in general, some groups that really didn't have a lot of fancy bells and whistles won. Some groups that were really slick didn't win. It was the ones with the good material and presented it well and had a lot of heart in it.
Okay, well, you know, it wasn't just the group of the people who we were talking to or who we will talk to tonight who were there. There was quite a delegation that went to Cleveland, and a group of them are with us, and as we break away for, we're going to see and hear a little bit from some of them. Let's hear it. Three of the people involved in Lafayette's presentation play major roles in the projects that helped the city win its All-America City designation. Pat Stevenson of Neighborhood Housing Services, Jenny Webb from the Housing Authority, and Susan Smith of Family Services. And we welcome you all and congratulations.
Thank you.
This group is still smiling. This whole group is just smiling, this delegation going.
That's right.
Pat Stevenson, tell us a little bit about what it is that you feel about your housing program that was unique, that contributed to the win.
Well, I think it contributes, the fact that the people who actually participate in the programs are a part of the decision-making process. I also think the fact that there was a lot of interaction between the different agencies here to get the projects done was a big factor. Those seem to be the kind of things that the judges wanted to focus on.
Did you feel unique as you explained it? Did you feel it was a unique program?
Yes, I felt it was unique. Yes, I did. And I felt that the participation of the community was what made it unique. It was not us telling the people what they needed. It was the people telling us what they needed.
Jenny, you worked in part in the project Self-Sufficiency. Tell us about what's the importance of that and what you feel is special about that program that helped that make Lafayette an All-America City.
Well, the Lafayette Housing Authority believes in a hand up, not a handout, and so it was a wonderful opportunity when Susan Smith and her board stepped forward with Family Services support so that we could, as a housing authority, then apply to HUD and achieve the rental subsidy to make the program go as far as the housing wing was concerned. And that is unique. Not all communities with family self-sufficiency have had the kind of cooperation that we have among our 3 agencies.
Let's talk a little bit about the experience that you had in Cleveland. Particularly, we showed the presentation, but following that 10-minute presentation, you were on the you were there being asked questions. Susan, what kind of questions were the judges looking for? What were they trying to get from you, do you think?
The Family Self-Sufficiency Program is truly a public-private partnership, and one of the things they wanted to know about was how the funding mixed federal funds, local funds, and United Way funds. And one thing that made us unique was the role that our local United Way plays in helping to facilitate these partnerships. In all 30 presentations, we were the only one who was able to make that point.
Tell us about the excitement. We saw a little bit when the announcement was made, and I know as soon as the MC of the program mentioned that you moved trains, we could hear all the way across the room the people from Lafayette standing and applauding and hugging. But what was it like for you?
I think we even got support from other cities. And as we were walking up there, the Lindsay, California, the other town that they talked about blowing, had smaller whistles than ours. But they did blow those whistles when we went up there, and we heard them as we came back down, and that was exciting. So you did even develop relationships with some of the other towns that were there.
Okay, well, we thank you so much for being a part of it, and congratulations to all of you. There was another major factor, too, in that presentation, and that was railroad relocation, and we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. The program that has dominated this community over the past 2 decades or so and would seem to be a key to the presentation of Lafayette's case for All-America City status is railroad relocation. It really has been the father of that project, and its director is Liz Solberg, and they join me. Congratulations to you, especially you, Liz. Tell me a little bit about that, about how railroad relocation, in your mind, fits into this whole concept of Lafayette as an all-American city.
Well, I think there are 2 things. First of all, the project, again, came from the people, just as the other projects that you mentioned. It was a task force that came to the government that said, can you help solve this, several decades ago. And then every single phase of railroad relocation has been based on citizen participation, citizen input, what would be best for the people in the community, and that's been our bulwark. And so it's very much something that has come from the community.
Did you see anything else like this in the other cities' presentation?
No, I think that helped. We were a bit unique, and I think people pretty quickly grasped the enormity of what had been accomplished in our community, and so I think that did help. All the little falderall kind of drew attention to us, but as Arvid was saying, railroad relocation was a unique project, and then the other 2 projects that were presented carried out the same themes that are present in our community and help people understand why we were such a strong community.
Yeah, I'm sure when people saw that first piece of that tape of the train hitting the truck, that had to wake some people up.
I think Arvid's editing was terrific. A real attention getter there.
That is impressive, and there were communities, I think every one of them had a railroad in their community, and for them to understand the enormity of this, and of course pointing out the conflict between the automobile and the train hitting that semi left a lasting impression.
Mayor, let me ask you about this designation now as an all-American city, and what you think that means to the community in the future. How will you use it?
Well, we're going to promote it. It's a promotional tool more than anything. Of course, there's a great deal of pride that goes in with that award. But I think the opportunity to promote throughout the country that we are an all-America city is worth something and some value. I think if a prospective industry or business is looking for a place to locate and they list their criteria, I'm sure that they'll take a look at a community that has been designated as an all-America city and take a look at it.
What can you do? You have a logo and you have that. Can you put that on the signs as the entrance to the city or along the interstate, or what can you do?
Well, we can use it any way we want to. Of course, that belongs to the National Civic League, but we can use it any way we want to for however long we want to. But, I think we'll probably put it on most city vehicles. I think our stationery will carry the Lafayette All-America City emblem on it. Take some revision in our stationery, but there are a lot of things you can do. Shirts, buttons, a variety of things. We're trying to put all of that together and determine what would be most advantageous.
And you've also talked about perhaps some sort of a city celebration.
We're going to have a celebration on August 6th, Sunday, 1 to 3 or 4 at Columbian Park, and we're developing that celebration now, and that'll be a dandy, and we're inviting the entire community to come out and help us celebrate.
We're almost out of time, but it does seem to me that this award has been taken by the community perhaps a little more than some of the other things. Have you felt that in this week you've been home?
Well, I think so, and I run into people that live around Lafayette, and some of like Fowler and Delphi and Monticello, people that I run into throughout the city that come up and congratulate you. Liz and I were having lunch the other day, and some people came up and congratulated us for receiving the All-American City
And we
Award.
certainly want to congratulate you, too, and we want to express our congratulations not only to the people who made this presentation to the All-America City judges, but also to the people of Lafayette. If you remember a song we at TV 18 had commissioned a few years ago, it said, "You are making Lafayette great." Nice job, everybody.
Everybody ready?
A place with happiness all around, that I am proud to say is my hometown. Lafayette, yes, it's Lafayette, another diamond